Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flick Show. My name is Chris Wong. A couple more updates for the DCEU. First of all, Wonder Woman 84 filmed today out in the open. There's no hiding this. You can see it everywhere, and people are calling out spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. But let's get this straight right now. This scene is literally Wonder Woman running. Wonder Woman running. Yeah, she runs in every movie, so I don't think you can call that a spoiler, but some people may be sensitive to that. So I'm not going to show you it here, but I can say it's her running. And she's on wires. There's some wires to her, so people were kind of freaking out and like, is she got an invisible jet? Is she on an invisible jet? Oh no. But really, she's just sitting there waiting for it to be set up properly, and then she starts running. She's just running. Okay, so and why is she on wires? Probably because they want to keep her speed, and also possibly she'll be doing a giant leap, for all we know. And so that is that. Nothing much for that, but people should be aware of that. Also, brighter costume. Yeah, well, it's the 80s retro thing. Like I said before, that's the concept they're going to go with, and so it's going to have a brighter costume. It just goes with the tone of that film. Retro's 80, brighter colors. I don't see anything wrong with that. There are some other things that came up which I will not talk about here, as it is pretty out there in terms of spoilers, so I don't want to get involved with that. I also want to try to keep secret too, because I want to get excited. I want to watch it, but people keep sending me stuff. But in any case, Wonder Woman 84 is still being shot. It's very interesting how open it is, and what they're shooting, and how much are they going to shoot indoors and whatnot. Who's Pedro Pascal, things like that. Is Chris Pine, Steve Trevor coming back Terminator style? Or a lot of people are like, well, maybe it's a ghost or hallucination. I was thinking ghost hallucination too, but he really looks like a guy out of time, a man out of time, a fish out of water, and he really looks lost in that world, and he's wearing a fanny pack. He's not wearing clothes from his period where she would remember him as, unless she's like really playing with her hallucination, making him dress and act all weird. But it's got to be something else. I don't know what it is, but it is certainly going to be a mystery up till possibly the trailer, which probably won't drop or anything. That we may have maybe a teaser, maybe, I don't know, for San Diego Comic-Con, but most likely next year we'll have a trailer on that. So that's for that. Aquaman is coming out later this year, and we're already having a lot of interviews with that movie. And the Hollywood Reporter had an interview with Aquaman, some of the director, but the ones that I'm really want to focus on is it's not the Hollywood Reporter, I'm sorry. The Entertainment Weekly had done an interview with Toby Emmerich, right? Toby Emmerich is the head. He's the person in charge of Warner Brothers Pictures. Granted the seat away from Kevin Tsujihara, because Kevin Tsujihara has moved up a little bit up the ladder, kind of promoted himself out of that position. But so now Toby Emmerich is the chairperson in charge of this. And he had some words to say that may be not very good news for some of you out there. Basically, he kind of said that they're trying to make movies that appeal to the zeitgeist of this era, and that could be a bad thing or a good thing. As you know, that means that the appeal is more for the general audience, the mainstream audience, and not in terms of the art type of movies, right? Not in terms of what Zack Snyder did in the way it was made. It didn't appeal to the general and mainstream audiences. It appealed to different parts of the fandom. It was a tour type of way of making films, and so that is a concern for a lot of people, the zeitgeist. So, but I'm thinking he's really talking about DC Light, right? I was gonna, before I was mentioned in the Hollywood Reporter that Walter Hamada is envisioning almost two different types of continuities here. We've got a brand called DC Dark or DC Black. They should really call it DC Elseworlds, and then the regular DC. Well, I'll just call it DC Light, just to make it so you know which one I'm talking about. So Aquaman is going to be in part of like DC Light, mainstream audiences, big blockbusters, things like that. Wonder Woman also 84 is going to be part of that. Shazam is going to be a part of that. We'll know more what that actually separation is and what that means, possibly by San Diego Comic-Con, or even more as we hear more talk from WarnerMedia, the new brand that instead of calling it Time Warner, it's now called WarnerMedia because of the AT&T takeover. But I'm thinking that's what Toby Emmerich is referring to. He's referring to this side, the movies, the big blockbusters, but he is careful to say that this is definitely a James Wan movie because that's what their goal is, right? Their goal is to be a director-driven movie, and he's assuring us that this is the tone and everything that came out was because of James Wan and Jason Momoa's collective collaboration in the way they're thinking and the way the character is and how the thought process behind that movie, that came out of that shared together. And they really liked James Wan and they work well with him. And James Wan is recognized as being very influential possibly in this. And he has worked with Walter Hamada before, so maybe he brought in Walter Hamada to the DCEU or the DC Light universe and to help shape the DC cinematic universe. And that's the thing. What I want to get a little bit later on about the DC cinematic, about calling it a cinematic universe, right? Because right now we're basically doing solo films and whatnot. But moving on to the next movie, Shazam. Apparently, it's rumored that Shazam's going to have a trailer by San Diego Comic-Con, which I kind of guessed it would. I think there's enough time from the post-production, principal photography, and now they're in post-production, that there be some type of content, some type of editing, because they do editing while they're shooting principal photography, so there's probably something in the works already. So I'm really excited to see what that Shazam trailer is and how that's going to look like. I want to see what him in the suit, him fighting or flying, how's that work on film, because we really didn't really quite see a good shot of a final product, like how Clay Enos had made Wonder Woman, that screenshot of her, which it looks like a screenshot of her. It was edited to be looking like it came straight out of a movie. We haven't really got that for Shazam other than poster where he's drinking a soda, but that was like blurry and you can't really see it. So I'm really interested to see an actual shot of the movie for Shazam, and I can't be any more excited for that. Are they gonna tease Henry Cavill Superman? I hope he really shows up, and that would be kind of cool to him walk on stage with Shazam or something. But I understand that would take away Shazam's, presence there to have Superman there. And the idea is that this is Shazam. This is Captain Marvel. This is his presence. This is his movie. And I totally understand that if they don't want to give away too much of maybe possibly having Henry Cavill show up as Superman for that, right? So that is coming out of San Diego Comic-Con. Now we got to get into what today was announced that AT&T had taken over, and now they're calling it WarnerMedia. And WarnerMedia, the CEO, his name is John Stankey. I don't know, it's Stankey? Is it really a Stankey? Sounds like stinky. But anyway, AT&T veteran John Stankey is now serving as CEO of WarnerMedia. And so I want to really quickly say what he had to say about this. He wanted to comment on how much involvement he will have with Warner Brothers DC Films. He said this: "First of all, I think the performance of DC movies over the past year and a half is trending the right direction in terms of the quality of the product and how the franchise is being managed. So hats off to Kevin Tsujihara and the team around getting the momentum headed the right direction. Obviously, there was some public things that have occurred over the last couple of weeks. Diane Nelson and Jeff Johns, who ran DC Entertainment, both stepped down. That would indicate that some additional change is underway. My involvement in that is to make sure I support Kevin in getting the absolute best talent possible and will take that franchise to the next level. That's his set of decisions to make and his direction to go in. It's my job to facilitate, to make sure he has the full support of the corporation in getting that done. And I believe as you sit here today and we start to think about what the new value proposition is for a combined Warner Media and AT&T, we obviously want to go to creatives and talk about what we can do with our platforms now that are different than what a standalone Time Warner could do prior to the transaction. That's a unique opportunity, and I want to make sure I can help Kevin sell that and get the right amount of talent in here to elevate the franchise to a new level. So John Stankey also went on CNN to talk with CNN, and you can it's kind of funny to watch that video, see those CNN, the host over there, were kind of like, are you still got my job? What's going on? So that you can kind of see that little fear in everybody who's not sure, not knowing what their positions are still going to be there, what's going to happen with that, even at CNN. So it's very understandable, and it happens in all these type of corporate mergers. But he pretty said that they're safe, it's okay, and he just wanted to reassure them. But the interesting take from that, I think it was like a 10-minute video, and I'll if I can find the link, I'll post it in the description, is that what he basically said was that they're promoting to get more content, to get more engagements of this content, and diverse content, in fact. So they're really engaging, trying to get more ads on these different platforms, trying to get more a library full of material to show. They're trying to do that. It's kind of like what people have been saying, that they're really chasing that Netflix thing, right? Netflix got a whole library of movies. They want a whole diverse amount of movies and things like that, and shows and TV shows on their library, so that people keep clicking on them and keep subscribe to them. And I think that is the ultimate goal for Warner Media in terms of these new platforms that they have, that they can bring to what Time Warner never had before, and that sharing of knowledge and sharing of technology is what Mr. John Stankey wants to bring to the new Warner Media medium. He'll let the creatives do what they do best and make content, but he's probably going to ask for more content. He's probably going to asking for more diverse content on all platforms. Now, remember, he's got HBO too, and he's got all these other channels. He's got the DCEU streaming services. He's got all these different pieces and parts of the entertainment business that he could capitalize on, right? In order to capitalize on, he's going to need content on each of those platforms. And so that leads me back to what we've been talking about today. There was a couple news articles out there that are keeping people kind of the hype level down, and it's grounded and real. Yes, it's very logic on these articles. And Revenge of the Fans has put one on Mario Robles. Yeah, actually, which is kind of cool. He actually reached out to me to see what my thoughts on his article, and it's a long article. I have the link here, so I'll probably put it in my description. But basically, what he wants you to know for the fact is that that he had done a report back in December 2017, and for the most part, he just wants you to know that he was right that time, that the studio has a practically complete Zack Snyder film on their hands, but the problem is that they don't want to invest a cent of what it would take to 100% finalize it for home release. He took quotes from that whole Mark Hughes and Jay Oliver quotes on Twitter. And he's just trying to say that he was right at that time, and he just wants to make sure everybody knows it. But he goes on to what's the takeaway and why, and it's what we've heard before about how the continuity, how it made so much, didn't make enough money. Why would Warner Brothers invest it again? It's not completely finished. We've heard it all before, and I think for the most of us who know about the Snyder Cut existing, we know it's not 100% finished. It's not a turnkey type project where they can just release it right now and it will be all great in its glory and whatnot. And Jay Oliver also agrees to that, and they both kind of says it could take 10 to 20 years, maybe 25 years, because Richard Donner cut took 25 years, and that's all said and done. So Jay Oliver also agrees to that, although Jay Oliver makes some interesting points. I didn't know, but there was a Beauty and the Beast work in progress cut that came out, and he owns it. And apparently there's like storyboards and stuff on that, and it's put together in a nice shaped movie, and it's called a WIP, Work in Progress Beauty and the Beast. What? Like, I want to see what that is. I never knew that there was a work in progress. Did they ever make it into something? I don't know. But apparently that is, there's always different cuts. He's just trying to say there's different cuts. And he's saying that he's not in that the exec role, so he doesn't know. And he does say something that's quite a relief to a lot of fans, is that this day and age, with the internet and the social media and the fandom, it's a totally different day and age from back then when Superman 2 came out, Blade Runner came out, and all that. It's totally different now. Everything changed. Everything is moving quicker, and I gotta agree, it is. There's so many aspects in Revenge of the Fans and what Jay Oliver said that doesn't account for some of the things I just said earlier. One, you're saying people are saying that, well, Warner Brothers don't want to admit they made a mistake. To me, they have already admitted it by doing what Kevin Tsujihara had done. He moved himself out of the business, put Toby Emmerich in charge. He got rid of Jeff Johns, Diane Nelson, and you're going to say, well, they stepped down and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what they want you to hear, right? They did all that. They hired Walter Hamada, got John Berg out of there, Susan Kroll, everything. All these things that had happened in that shakeup is due to the fact because they did admit to their mistake. If they did not admit to them, if they're not admitting their mistake, that wouldn't have happened, okay? Nothing would have happened. It would have continued on to this day. He wouldn't have put out that quote saying that we made a mistake if we're trying to be like Marvel, paraphrasing. We're trying to be like that. He wouldn't have said that. In a way, he was apologizing then. So he admits to their mistake. Warner Brothers admits their mistake by doing those actions. If they didn't admit, we'd still be talking about John Berg and Jeff Johns heading the universe right now. That's not the case, is it? Time has changed. It has changed. Warner Brothers that we knew back then is not the Warner Brothers we know now. And that includes, it's now under WarnerMedia. AT&T has taken over. The goal of WarnerMedia, I just said it earlier, is to drive more content, to get more engagement. That's all they want. They want a library full of movies and shows and stuff like that, so that we keep clicking on them. They could probably get their ad-based revenue on there. That's all they want. Do they care about continuity? No. They're like, would anybody watch it? That's what they want to know. Would people watch it? So that's why I said make some noise. If you guys want to watch release the Snyder Cut like I want to watch the Snyder Cut, if the Snyder Cut makes enough noise, and especially when people are going up to AT&T and stuff, that actually works in that favor. WarnerMedia is a business. They're not going to turn their backs away from something that spells engagement, that spells content, that spells clicks, that spells ad revenue, that spells money. Money, the dollar signs. If they see a huge amount of people asking to want to see something, they're going to look at it and say, what do they want to see? And can I provide that to them so that I can make money off of this? And you're damn right. I'm gonna throw my money at them. And they're going to want to take it. They're not going to say, no, that's continuity. Maybe the people won't know if that's going to be a different universe. We've already gone through that. What looks like they're doing different types of continuities. We got the DCEU streaming service. It's got their own continuity over there. We've got DC Dark, a brand. They'll probably have not a Jared Leto Joker, but a Joaquin Phoenix Joker with rumored Robert De Niro being involved with that. And then they're going to make a Jared Leto Joker in the other DC Light universe. Where's the continuity in that? Where's the continuity in that? They're pretty much retconning that Wonder Woman was not shown out in the open until Justice League. She's in the middle of Washington, D.C., running around. Unless they have a Men in Black Flash to make everybody forget, they don't care about continuity anymore. They're retconning and retconning and retconning. Each movie is going to be a director-driven, like Toby Emmerich has said. Each movie will be a director. It will be James Wan's movie. It will be a Patty Jenkins movie. It will be a David F. Sandberg movie. They've learned their ways. They're going to let them make their movies the way they're going to make their movies. And you're going to say, well, man, if Zack Snyder was involved, he signed on and he's producing all these movies, and now they're going to make it light and bright and funny. Well, guess what? He signed on to Wonder Woman. Look how Wonder Woman turned out, right? He signed on as producer on them, but he doesn't expect them to make it like how Zack Snyder make it, because that would entail we're going to be a Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's what Marvel does. They make every single movie pretty much look like each other. You can't even tell. The tone is it's the same. And that's because that's almost a corporate-driven franchise. Each movie has to look like each other because it's a huge, like a serials. It's like a big, giant TV show, but with a cinematic approach to them, right? And so that's why they look the same, and this has to fit here, this has to fit here, right? So, but this is not Marvel Cinematic Universe. They just learned that. So what are they going to do? Director driven. So each one's going to be different. We'll definitely put their money where their mouth is when we see the trailers for Aquaman, or actually we should see the movie for Aquaman and Wonder Woman 84 and Shazam. But I truly believe that's what they're doing now. They're no longer trying to make a cinematic universe. They're just trying to make films. And like you said, we're just trying to make good movies. Just concentrate on one good movie, one at a time. Don't worry about the over-existing larger capacity of the universe. If Zack Snyder ever makes a film again, it will be a Zack Snyder film. It'll be a Zack Snyder film. It won't have to look like 84. It doesn't have to feel like Shazam. It doesn't have to have the colors of Aquaman. They're all individually going to be different. And where does that leave the Snyder Cut? Like I said all along, the Snyder Cut, if you wanted to call it an alternative cut, whatever, it's pretty much a different film at this point, right? It's a different film. It's going to be a different film. And it's not going to coincide with the whatever cinematic universe. If they're even thinking about making a cinematic universe, what's their end game? We don't know. But the Snyder Cut is its own thing. It's its own existence. And my God, if they have 99% of it, and like other people are talking about, comic book resources now saying it does exist. John Schnepp on Collider today said it exists. He says he can say it's 99 to 100%. that exists. He knows, he pointed at Robert Meyer Burnett and things like that. So it's coming out now that it does exist. But now the question is for a lot of people is how it's going to be released, right? How is it going to be released? Well, if it mostly exists and it's not too much, a little bit more to finish, whatever, because at 99%, how much more does it need to be finished, right? And that's just what they're thinking. That's what their minds are saying, that it's possibly 99%. I don't think it's 99%. I'm not sure how much more it is, because we don't know what Zack Snyder had done in those couple of months after the fine cut edit, right? It's past the assembly cut. It's past the rough. It's past the rough cut. It's past the assembly cut. Past the assembly cut, past the rough cut, sorry. It was in fine cut because Larry Fong himself had said, this is the process before picture lock. And right where picture lock is where the magic starts happening. And so we had a couple of months before that. He might have already gone into picture lock, right? So there was a lot of time to actually start making it. And like I said, Gabriel Groy had said the digital VFX team were still working on even after the movie was released. So which one they were working on, we don't know if that was the Joss Whedon version or the Zack Snyder Cut version. But if that is true, and there is a lot of content in there, if you're thinking like an AT&T, like WarnerMedia, if you're thinking like John Stankey here, who wants more content, wants to be able to make sure his platform services get the recognition it needs, get more subscription bases, then what are you going to do? Well, I got something here. It looks like there's a whole bunch of crowd, a huge crowd that wants to see it. And I've got, well, maybe 90% of it done. Should I invest 10% more in it and then release that on some platform that could drive subscriptions, drive engagement, drive those clicks? I could make money on something that's almost done? I'd pretty much say yes. Do I care about continuity? Well, I'm not releasing it in theaters, which kind of sucks because I want to watch it in theater, but maybe one day it will. But if I want to do it, that would be the route to go, and that spells numbers for me. And that's what you're thinking. He's not going to think about the emotional thing about it. No, as much as we want to say, oh, he feels sorry for Zack Snyder, things like that. Maybe Walter Hamada does. We don't know what he's thinking. Maybe he does. Maybe he wants to rectify the problems. Maybe Kevin Sujihara is also in on it and stuff. But as a businessman, WarnerMedia CEO, whose motto and goal was, like he said today in CNN, I want to get more content. I want to drive more engagements to those content and on all my platforms. Well, you got a project here that's almost complete, and with a guaranteed fan base that really wants to watch it and will possibly buy into your subscriptions to watch it. I think you're sitting on a gold mine here, and you should really tap into it. That's my thoughts on it in any case. Well, anyway, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.